When Richard Dunne told Gordon Cowans to back off during that explosive 2011 incident, it seemed like the worst moment in the Villa legend's coaching career. But what happened next reveals the true character of a man who would face his greatest battle with incredible grace and courage. Gordon Sidney Cowans wasn't just any footballer. Born on October 27, 1958, he emerged as one of English football's most technically gifted midfielders of his generation. His story is forever linked with Aston Villa, the club he joined as a 15-year-old apprentice in 1974. This wasn't just a career move, it was the beginning of a love affair that would span decades. Cowans would go on to have 3 separate spells at Villa Park, ultimately playing 453 games and scoring 49 goals. These numbers tell only part of the story. As a central figure in the team's greatest era, he helped create a legacy that football fans still talk about today. The triumphs came thick and fast. The League Cup in 1977 was just the beginning. Then came the First Division title in 1981, a moment that proved Villa could compete with the very best. But the crown jewel was yet to come. In 1982, Cowans played a crucial role in Aston Villa's European Cup victory. This wasn't just any tournament win. This was the pinnacle of European football, and Cowans was right at the heart of it all. His technical skills and vision made him the perfect midfielder for Villa's golden era. The way he controlled games from the centre of the pitch was simply beautiful to watch. Beyond his club success, Cowans earned 10 caps for England. Many believe this number should have been much higher given his incredible talent. But sometimes football doesn't always reward the most deserving players with international recognition. Still, those who watched him play knew they were seeing something special. After hanging up his boots in 1997, Cowans couldn't stay away from the game he loved. He returned to Aston Villa to work with the academy and youth teams. This transition showed his deep connection to the club and his desire to help the next generation of players. He eventually rose to the position of assistant manager, bringing him into the complex world of modern football management. But life had some serious challenges in store for Gordon Cowans. The first major setback came during what should have been the peak of his career. On August 18, 1983, during a pre-season friendly against Mexican side FC America in Zaragoza, Spain, disaster struck. Cowans suffered a double fracture of his right leg. This wasn't just a minor injury that would keep him out for a few weeks. This was a career-threatening injury that would change everything. The severity of the injury forced him to miss the entire 1983-84 season. Imagine being at the absolute peak of your professional prowess and then having it all taken away in a single moment. For a player who had just helped his team win the European Cup, this timing couldn't have been worse. The injury occurred shortly after the club's European Cup triumph, an era that Cowans felt was beginning to end anyway. 2 years later, upon regaining fitness, Cowans faced another harsh reality. He was transferred to the Italian club AS Bari for a fee of £250,000. While he publicly expressed a desire to experience Italian football, his personal account reveals a deeper sense of professional dislocation. The move wasn't really his choice. Cowans had actually had a chance to move to a top Italian club like Napoli in 1983, but that deal fell through because of his injury. His subsequent transfer to Bari, a club that had just been promoted from Serie B, was not the move of a player at the height of his powers. Cowans himself later admitted that Bari was not that great. For a player who was an integral part of a European Cup winning side, the sale to a second-tier Italian team for a modest fee was heartbreaking. It marked the beginning of a post-European Cup dispersal of the celebrated team, a process that Cowans felt was happening against his wishes as the club began to break up its championship-winning squad. The sale represented a fundamental shift in his relationship with Aston Villa. His personal value was now being weighed against the team's need for a rebuild and a cash injection. Cowans would eventually return to Villa for 2 more spells, but the injury and subsequent transfer of 1985 marked a definitive end to the golden era and a profound change in the trajectory of his career. Years later, when Cowans returned to Villa as a coach, he encountered a very different football culture. The 2011 Richard Dunne incident exposed deep-seated fractures within the club and offered a revealing look into the changing dynamics between players and coaching staff in modern football. The event took place during a team-bonding trip to a Leicestershire spa at a particularly difficult time for the club, which was struggling just 2 points above the Premier League relegation zone. During what was described as a rowdy, alcohol-fueled altercation, two senior players, Richard Dunne and James Collins, were involved in a heated confrontation with the coaching staff, including Cowans. Dunne reportedly delivered a damning assessment of manager Gérard Houllière's troubled reign, and, during the fracas, a dividing partition in the restaurant was damaged. Cowans found himself in a central and somewhat victimised role in this confrontation. Having returned to the club, he loved to coach the youth and assist the senior team. Cowans represented the club's glorious title-winning past. His stature as a three-time veteran of the club and a winner of its greatest honours positioned him as a living embodiment of Aston Villa's identity and values. The fact that Dunne would deliver a damning assessment to Cowans, a revered icon, signified a profound lack of respect and an unprecedented breakdown in communication and morale. The incident was more than a simple drunken argument. It was a symptom of a deep ideological divide between the traditional values of club loyalty and respect that Cowans represented and the more transient high-stakes nature of the modern game. The aftermath highlighted the complexities of modern club management. The club's response involved formal disciplinary proceedings led by HR and legal departments. Villa initially sought to impose a massive fine on Dunne, equivalent to 4 to 6 weeks of his £53,000 a week wages, but this was challenged by the Professional Footballers Association. The PFA cited its own rules limiting fines to a maximum of 2 weeks' salary. For Gordon Cowans, it was a harsh introduction to a professional culture that was fundamentally different from the one he had thrived in as a player. The values of respect and loyalty that had defined his era were no longer guaranteed in modern football, but the most profound challenge was yet to come. In March 2020, Gordon Cowans released an emotional public statement that would touch the hearts of football fans everywhere. He had been diagnosed with early-onset Alzheimer's disease. The statement, issued by his partner and children, was a proactive measure intended to stop speculation and misinformation about his health. At the time, the tone was one of resilience and optimism that perfectly captured Cowans' character. He noted that medication had been prescribed and that with some life changes, the prognosis is a good one. He expressed his intention to continue with his matchday duties at Aston Villa for as long as his health permitted, seeing his diagnosis as just another of life's journeys. This initial public communication presented a narrative of control and determination, aligning with the fighting spirit that defined his playing career. However, the passage of time has exposed the brutal reality of the disease. More recent reports revealed that Cowans' condition has unfortunately worsened, leading to his move into a nursing home. This development represents a powerful story of an individual's courageous public stance against the relentless progression of a neurodegenerative disease. But here's where Gordon Cowans' story becomes truly inspiring. His diagnosis has become a significant catalyst within a much larger systemic health crisis affecting professional football. His case has brought renewed focus to the link between a long career in the sport and neurological diseases like dementia, particularly chronic traumatic encephalopathy, a degenerative brain condition believed to be caused by repeated head impacts. The issue gained critical prominence with the 2002 death of Jeff Assel, for whom a coroner ruled that his dementia was an industrial disease caused by repeatedly heading the ball. Other high-profile diagnoses, including members of England's 1966 World Cup winning team and, more recently, Dean Windus, have highlighted a disturbing and growing pattern. The fact that Cowans, a midfield playmaker, has been diagnosed adds a new layer to the discussion. While the focus had often been on defenders and strikers, players like Jeff Assel, who were renowned for their heading ability, Cowans' case suggests the risk may not be limited to a specific playing style. Medical research is now exploring the link between repetitive, low-impact head injury and long-term neurological damage, a phenomenon that could explain why players across all positions may be at risk. This growing body of evidence has prompted significant institutional change. Major footballing bodies, including the Football Association, have introduced new guidelines limiting heading in youth football and restricting professional players to a maximum of 10 higher force headers per week in training. These measures signify a shift in institutional responsibility from passive observation to proactive risk mitigation. The emergence of charities such as Billy Against Dementia and Race Against Dementia further underscores the transition from mere awareness to concerted action, with a focus on providing support for affected families and funding research for a cure. Cowans' ongoing battle therefore serves as a powerful reminder and a catalyst for a global conversation about the long-term cost of a career in the beautiful game. Gordon Cowans' story transcends the conventional account of a celebrated football career. His legacy is not solely defined by the trophies he won or the skill he displayed on the field, but by his enduring resilience and the way his personal story has intersected with some of the most critical issues facing modern sports. His battle with Alzheimer's disease, while deeply personal and tragic, has become a powerful case study in a systemic health crisis that needed addressing. His diagnosis has broadened the scope of risk awareness and added urgency to ongoing research into the link between repetitive head impacts and neurodegeneration. In this context, Gordon Cowans' story is a call to action for the sports industry to prioritise the long-term health of its athletes and to provide care and support for those who have given their lives to the game.